And that's JT. No secrets. Just truth. Jezreel, Emil Kavan. You will reach your destiny. You will reach the end of the dream that you live like a king and a queen. I say to you, be not afraid, for you are special indeed. The children of destiny, the outcasts of society, for the truth of reality. Generations, ancestors of past and old have given their life so that your life could matter. Now it's time to be changed. Now it's time to change. The world that you see, you are the beacon, the light, the lighthouse on the hill in the wilderness of darkness. Let your voices be heard, each one loud and proud.
Whereas break beats have been the missing link connecting the diasporic community to its drum-woven past. Whereas the quantized drum has allowed the whirling mathematicians to calculate the ever-changing distance between rock and stardom, we do hereby declare reality unkept by the changing standards of dialogue. Statements such as, keep it real, especially when punctuating or anticipating modes of ultra-violence inflicted psychologically or physically, will henceforth be seen as retroactive and not representative of the individually determined is. Motherfuckers better realize, now is the time to self-actualize. Studies show that when a given norm is changing the face of the unchanging, the remaining contradictions will parallel the truth. Equate rhyme with reason, sun with season. Reject mediocrity. Your current frequencies of understanding outweigh that has been given for you to understand. The current standard is the equivalent of an adolescent restricted to the diet of an infant. The rapidly changing body would acquire dysfunction and formative symptoms and could not properly mature on a diet of applesauce and crushed pears. Light years are interchangeable with years of living in darkness. The role of darkness is not to be seen as or equated with ignorance, but with the unknown and the mysteries of the unseen. Thus, in the name of Robeson, Godson, Hurston, Akhenaten, Hatshepsut, Blackfoot, Helen, Benin, Kahlo, Kali, the three Marias, Tara, Lilith, Lord, Whitman, Baldwin, Ginsburg, Kaufman, Lumumba, Gandhi, Gibran, Shabazz, Siddhartha, Medusa, Guevara, Gurdjieff, Rand, Wright, Banneker, Tubman, Hamer, Holiday, Davis, Coltrane, Morrison, Joplin, Du Bois, Clark, Shakespeare, Rachmaninoff, Ellen Chang, Carter, Gay, Hathaway, Hendricks, Cootie, Dickerson, Ripperton, Mary, Isis, Teresa, Hansberry, Tesla, Plath, Rumi, Fellini, Michaud, Nostradamus, Nefertiti, Laroque, Shiva, Ganesha, Yemaya, Oshun, Obatala, Ogun, Kennedy, King, Four Little Girls, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, Keller, Biko, Perón, Marley, Magdalene, Cosby, Shakur, those who burn, those still aflame, and the countless unnamed. We claim the present as the present, as the hereafter. We are unraveling our navels so that we may ingest the sun. We are not afraid of the darkness. We trust that the moon shall guide us. We are determining the future at this very moment. We know that the heart is the philosopher's stone. Our music is our alchemy. We stand as the manifested equivalent of 3 buckets of water and a handful of minerals, thus realizing that those very buckets turned upside down supply the percussive factor of forever. Let your children name themselves and claim themselves as the new day. For today, we are determined to be the channelers of these changing frequencies into songs, paint paintings, writings, dance, drama, photography, carpentry, crafts, love, and love. We enlist every instrument, acoustic, electronic, every so-called gender, race, sexual preference, every person as beings of sound to acknowledge their responsibility to uplift the consciousness of the entire fucking world. Any utterance unaimed will be disclaimed, will be maimed. 2 rappers slain.
Revolution. It is time for us to begin to understand what our forefathers have done to advance our causes. We are Generation Zero, the forgotten generation, the generation of outcasts, those whose society denies, those who are impoverished, becoming American slaves. Not out of will, but out of necessity to survive the harshness of life. Those who work for minimum wage, whose future is bleak. They must work. Unable to go and get an education, a college education. They languish in poverty, trying to keep the lights on, trying to keep up with rent. Can't afford a car, so they catch city transportation. They ride the bus to work. Sitting in their seats, fearing that they might be late to work. Because now, after the economy has imploded, employers in the right to work states will find any reason to terminate you. So we wake up early and catch the bus before the bus that we are supposed to catch, hoping that the start of our day will not be as stressful as the end of our day. When we face our loved ones, our children, looking into their eyes, hoping that we can give them a future better than the one that we have. We live in poor neighborhoods, not out of free will, but because of what we can afford. And if we make a little bit more than the line drawn by the government of what poverty is, we don't receive help. We are caught in a middle ground that does not even exist, a gray area that is easy to miss. But I say to you today, there is a revolution on its way. We have seen what the government has been doing. Looking at our Facebook pages, looking at our Google sites that we bring up on our pages, tapping our phones. Yet instead of spending the money on the American who works the hardest, the poor, instead of giving them a break, we give a break to the wealthy. No rise in minimum wage, no change in our lives. Living day in and day out, from tears that we can't do this anymore. But we slowly dry our eyes as we look at our children and fight back the tears. Try to show courage and bravery. And we show up to work. And we work hard. But when we get our checks, we feel like we have done nothing to erase the debt of the holes in our souls. For we don't qualify for credit cards like the middle class. We don't have good credit. Most of us suffer from no credit. Because we shop in thrift stores. We can't afford to go to the mall. Even if we work in the mall, we can't afford to buy anything. And the days that we say, forget it, fuck it, we end up more behind than we ever were by spending $20 extra or $40 extra so our children can watch a movie that they love in 3D. It seems like we're beginning to be overpriced out of society. For everything is in HD, Blu-ray, 3D. To buy our children good shoes and clothes will cost us more than we pay in rent. We are the forgotten. We are the ones left holding the bag, trying to raise smart children who will never make the mistakes that we have. We know that it's going to be a fight, one hell of a fight, for them to do better than what we have done. And we don't even know what to do anymore because as a single parent, once our children get old enough, we begin to take on more responsibility working 2 jobs just to keep up with their school supplies, and their school clothes, and they're growing, and they're hungry. Many nights we go to bed without anything to eat. But by the power of our names, we will join together. We will make a revolution out of the inactions of the White House, of Congress, of the Supreme Court. We are often discriminated against by the polls, by the pundits, by the style of politics. No one has shined a light into our community. Like Chicago, where the murder rate is going up and going up and going up because of gun violence. The wealthy middle class and upper class get to decide where guns go. And we can't keep them out of our neighborhood so our children will not run the risk of losing their life by a stray bullet. Now we see that our government is looming towards a shutdown. That we can possibly default on our credit. And we're wondering Why are you gambling with our lives? It is the poor that's affected by the policies in Washington, by the policies of the White House. For the Justice Department made a civil rights division, but we, the poor, have no seat at the table. Who is crying out for us? Who is rallying for us? For even the CBC tones down their rhetoric when it comes to us. We haven't seen an outcry. But the revolution, it is on its way, I promise you. Whether you cut food stamps, then it will extremely hurt the poor. Doesn't matter what race. It just means that the children who you say are the future shall go hungry. It just means that those who live underneath the poverty line will remain cemented in the system until all resources eventually die. Not all of us are ignorant. We see you trying to take the great society away. We've seen what the Supreme Court did by striking down our rights in the Civil Rights Bill. Saying basically because we have an African American president that we are still not being discriminated based on our wages, based on our color, based on where we come from, based on our area code, based on our postal code. That you not feeding off of dead peasants' insurance scams. That the low wage parent doesn't have time to see what the Dow is and what's going on with the stock market. All they're concerned with is, how many hours did I work this week? I need more hours. I have to find a better job. But when you work every day of the week, part-time, what time do you have to find a job somewhere else? Since 2008, almost everybody is part-time. So the revolution will begin. We will see how this turns out. But we promise you, if you keep painting us in a corner, if you keep with the disrespect of those who struggle hard to survive, we will have no other choice. There will be a revolution, and it will be televised. If you mess with the full faith and credit of the United States and allow the stock market to plunge again like it did in 2008 or worse, we will start the revolution. We will rally. We will walk. We will find ways to fight the system. We will go after those in authority. We will go after those who are allowing these things to happen to us. We grew up in poverty. We do not want our children's future be continued in poverty. We want them in the best schools. We want them to have a chance. We want them to succeed. And if we have to fight to bring a voice, to have a seat at the table, then we will. We will not do it any longer. If our children must go to the bed hungry, we will not take it. We still have to live in neighborhoods where there are stray bullets to be afraid of, where there are gangs to be afraid of, while communities just 5-10 minutes away live in peace. Because somehow, because what they make, the police frequently travel up and down their streets, making sure that their houses don't get broken into, making sure that that neighborhood is fine. Where are you in our neighborhoods? Why are you not cracking down on violence? Oh, I forgot. Because cities and states all across America have felt the pain of the Great Recession. So they cut back on their police force. They can only maintain the wealthy neighborhoods. Just as the policies that are being made is only for the wealthy, not for us. We care not about Republicans or Democrats. All we care about is rising up. Do not touch Social Security. Do not touch disability. Do not touch Medicaid or Medicare. Do not touch the food that we rely on to give us strength and energy to go forward, because the health care will not matter if you squeeze us every which direction. A revolution is coming. It will unfold before your eyes, because I have said this time and time again. Generation Zero is not like the generation in the 60s or the 50s or the 40s. We're neither like the 80s or the 90s. Generation Zero is a generation that will be heard. We want our wages to go up. We want to be able to afford to go out at least once or twice a week with our families. Yes, we want health care, but not at the price of our jobs. Yes, the Great Society has been the one thing that kept us from hitting rock bottom and being an explosion of homelessness. But you're one step from making it happen for us. We are living check to check. We are living in deficits of our own. Paying half the rent just so that we could be able to go out and breathe. Knowing that we so desperately need to pay our bills on time, but we must be able to enjoy life and put a smile on our children's faces. You don't seem to understand what we face. It's an obstacle no matter where we go or what we do. We are faced with the reality of life. You won't shine a camera upon us. But we have a story to tell. We have a mission. And if it takes our very last breath to accomplish it, we will. We want the same rights that every other American has. We want the same vehicle to the American dream you claim still exists. We want to rise out of poverty. We read and write just as well as everyone else. There are some families, yes, that say educated by the Dow, the S&P, the NASDAQ. We watch the fluctuation of gold and silver as people look for safety. So they choose commodities that they can stick their money in. We know what's going on. We're not asleep. We're not the Walking Dead. We are Generation Zero. And we want respect. We want out of the chains of oppression. We want our neighborhoods to be clean and sparkling and beautiful. We want investments, opportunity to have 401k plans, opportunity to be able to buy life insurance, not being another body going into the earth in a cardboard box. We want our children to be able to learn history, math, science. We want them to be able to be compassionate towards each other instead of the hostility of beasts. Like in the neighborhoods that we live in, we try to teach our children to say, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am, and thank you, and you're welcome, and please. But don't doubt yourself. America, if you push the button, the economy imploding will be like a weapon of mass destruction. And we will have no choice. Than to protect ourselves. We will have no choice but to start a revolution by all means necessary. By any means necessary. We will put our faith aside and we will begin a revolution that the whole world will see. We are not afraid. We are not the ones to mess with. We have been toiling underneath the sun, day in and day out, from night to morning to night. We want our rights. We want the American dream. And if we have to overthrow you to do it, then so be it. And this is a warning to the Republican Party. If you continue to encroach on our rights, what little we have left, then you will not hold the White House ever again.